Hey everyone! In this tutorial I will show you how to create the Portobello top in style A. This top features a beautiful floral smock center detailing with a pleated peplum bottom and closes with bow ties at the top and back. Make one in every color and pair with a simple skirt made of the same fabric for a stunning two-piece summer set. You can find the pattern and the list of materials in the description below, so let's get started. Cut all the pattern pieces and transfer all markings and notches as indicated on the pattern. For the underbust band pattern piece, I recommend only cutting this after finishing and trimming the floral smocking. As this is hand sewn work, there is a chance of minor deviations, as one might stitch tighter versus looser. The density of your fabric can also have an impact, hence you might find you need to slightly adjust the band. After cutting out the floral smocking piece, we have to transfer the crosses as indicated on the pattern to the front or good side of the fabric with an erasable pen or tailor's chalk. I like to tape my fabric to the table for this step, which will prevent it from potentially slipping. As you will note, this is a grid with 1x1 inch squares. It will be easiest to draw this 1x1 inch grid on your fabric using a ruler. I personally still prefer to initially mark the lines following the grid on the pattern, to be super sure I'm not accidentally adding a few millimeters here and there. After transferring my markings, I'm using a ruler to draw the grid. Once the grid has been transferred, we can add the crosses as indicated on the pattern. Please make sure to also add the center and top notches. The grid is now ready to start the smocking. Prepare your sewing needle with thread and tie a knot at the end. We're going to start in the top left corner of the 1x1 inch square with a cross. Put the needle at the back of the fabric and stitch to the front. Secure the stitch in the top left corner by making a small stitch, putting the needle halfway through the fabric. Then, wrap the thread a few times around the top part of the needle. After that, pull the needle through and finish the stitch. Working clockwise, put a small stitch in the top right corner. Then, a stitch in the bottom right corner, and next, a stitch in the bottom left corner. Finally, put a stitch in the top left corner. All corners of the square should have a stitch now. Next, pull the thread to close the square and create the flower shape. You will have to help guide and fold the fabric a bit to make it easier to form the flower shapes. As you will see, I'm folding the flower petal shapes with my hands first, before I pull the thread to close the flower shape. Secure the flower in place by stitching the center where the fabric closes together. First, make 2 stitches from the top right to the bottom left sides. Then, 2 stitches from the bottom right to the top left sides. For the next step, stitch your needle through the top left corner next to the center towards the back side of the fabric. Then, turn the fabric around to the back side and finish off the flower by securing the thread, creating knots. Finally, cut off the sewing thread. The first flower is finished now. Next, repeat all the previous steps to smock all the remaining squares into pretty flowers as well. I will also show the second flower in detail in this video, as this might be helpful to learn from. When creating flowers next to each other, it is important the petals of the flowers which have already been smocked are properly shaped and the petal ends are facing in an upward direction. This will prevent petals from folding into each other. Repeat the steps for the remaining squares. All the squares have been smocked into flowers now. As the next step, we're going to secure the flower petals. Pin the edges of the smocking work by folding each flower petal end as shown in the video. This will require 2 pins per petal end. It is important that once pinned together, the fabric lays down nice and flat. It should not be too tight with too much tension or too loose and wobbly. I personally like to use the grid as a guide, as when done correctly, the 1-inch lines on the left side and the right side of the petal should match each other in the center where the folds meet. Continue pinning until all petals are done. As a next step, use your sewing machine to sew around all 4 sides to secure the petals with a 1-inch or 2.54 cm seam allowance. You can use the lines of the 1-inch grid as a guide. Make sure to use the widest stitch on your machine. Even though this stitch should not show in the final result, if you do accidentally go beyond the 1-inch allowance, it will be easy to unpick later on when the belt has been fully constructed. As you will see, I push the flower petals a little bit flat with my hands right before feeding them through the machine. This will prevent them from getting stuck in the sewing machine foot. Once all petals are secured, we're going to trim the floral smocked piece. Cut half an inch or 1.27 cm off on each of the sides. And cut 3/4 of an inch or 1.9 cm off the top part. After cutting the floral smocked piece, finish the bottom and sides with a 1/4 inch or 0.64 cm rolled hem. Just to clarify, do not hem the top part. Please note this is a 1/4 inch folded twice, so the total fabric used for the hem will be half an inch. This applies to the rest of the pattern as well. If you don't have a rolled hem foot, I will show you how to sew it. First, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch hem. Next, I'm trimming loose threads and any parts where I might have gone over the 1/4 inch allowance. To keep the corners neat and prevent them from getting bulky, I will now be making mitered corners. First, I fold the fabric at the center with the right sides facing each other. Then, mark a line at a 180 degrees angle from the folded corner. Sew the marked line once forward and once fully backwards to make sure it is properly secured. If you find that your machine struggles sewing backwards, you can keep the needle in, lift the foot and rotate the fabric 180 degrees to the right. This will put the fabric back in a forward sewing position. Once done, I cut off the excess fabric in the corner. Then I turn the corner towards the inside of the hem, folding back the fabric to the shape it was when we started the hem. You can use a pointy object to fully turn the corner. Once folded back, press the seams inside to a 1/4 inch allowance. Now finally sew the seams once more to secure the rolled hem. Press the hem once done. Finish the top left and top right corner by making a small fold to the wrong side of the piece and secure this with a few stitches. The small fold is added as it will later on prevent any raw edges from showing when putting the pattern pieces together. We're now going to sew the top pieces. I'm adding basting stitches to the left and right of my top pieces. This will help prevent the fabric from pulling and expanding, as the left and right sides are cut on the bias. You could also use seam tape interfacing for this. Sew a 1/4 inch or 0.64 cm rolled hem around the sides and the top of each piece. Don't hem the bottom part. Make sure to press the hem. Once done with the first 1/4 of the hem, you can remove the basting stitches. Prepare the strap channels by sewing a 1/4 inch or 0.64 cm rolled hem around all sides. Make sure to press the hem. As you will note, I've also added the mitered corners to the top strap channels. Pin the strap channels on top of each other of the two top pieces. The two wrong sides should be facing each other. The strap channel is placed about a 1/4 inch or 0.64 cm from the top, right below the hem of the top piece. Secure the strap channels by sewing the top and bottom of the length to the top pieces. Sew right below the hems of the strap channel. This is about a 1/4 inch from the hem. Please note this is being sewn to the wrong side of the top piece. Press once done. Now, prepare the side straps. Start by folding the strap fabric lengthwise in half and iron to create a crease. Then fold open again. Fold in both sides to meet the crease line and iron. I like to first iron one side and then the other side. Finally, fold the two sides together and iron. Make sure to also add back the center notches, as otherwise you would have lost them when ironing if using an erasable pen. Put the side straps to the side for now. Sew the necktie with a 1 to 2 mm distance from the edge. Make sure to also close the straps at the end by folding in the raw edges. Now, grab the top pieces and place a gathering stitch or two at the bottom of the two top pieces. To do the gathering, I set my machine to its widest stitch length. I then like to gently pull the thread at the top near the spool to automatically gather while sewing. Make sure to keep long thread ends so you can then adjust the gathering to fit by pulling one of the threads. Next, pin the right sides of the top pieces to the wrong side of the floral smocking piece. This should overlap around half an inch or 1.27 centimeter. The raw edges should be facing away from each other. Adjust the gathering of the two top pieces to match the top notches on the floral smocking piece. The standard gap between the two top pieces in the middle will be 1 inch or 2.54 centimeter. If you want more or less coverage for the top pieces, ignore the notches and adjust the gathering and placement accordingly to match your desired coverage. At this stage, you can add the necktie through the strap channels of the top and see what the coverage will be like. To add the necktie, use a safety pin or similar to push it through the strap channel. When wearing the top, the middle of the strap will be at the back of the neck and the ends also tied at the back of the neck. After adjusting the coverage to preference, sew the top pieces to the floral smoked piece using a 1/4 inch or 0.64 centimeter allowance. Now it is time to cut the underbust band, but before doing so, make any adjustments to the pattern piece length if necessary. The length should be the length of the finished floral smocking row plus 2 centimeters, as each side will have 1 centimeter seam allowance. I first put the pattern piece on the floral smocked row to check the length. It looks like it's about right, or maybe slightly too long, so I cut the band to the same size as the pattern piece. Then pin it to the floral smock band to check, and as you can see, I did have to adjust the band by about 1 centimeter. This is probably because the fabric I'm working with is quite stiff and it is hand sewing work. Once adjusted, make sure to add the middle notches as well. Prepare the underbust band by pressing 2/5 of an inch or 1 centimeter folds on each side. These will be the seams. Pin the underbust band piece with the wrong side facing the wrong side of the floral smocking row. It is important that you place the top of the underbust band about 1 to 2 millimeters higher than the top of the floral smocked piece. This is done to later close in the raw edges. Secure the underbust band to the top, sewing around all 4 edges of the panel using a 1/4 inch or 0.64 centimeter seam allowance. Even though the flower petals have already been secured, you might prefer using a walking foot for this step if you find your machine easily pulls and moves the flower petals during this step. Once the underbust panel has been secured, pin the side straps to the top. Place the first strap on top above the floral smoked row. It is important that you place the strap about 1 to 2 millimeters higher than the top of the floral smoked piece. It should match the height of the underbust band. This way, the raw edges are closed in. Place the second side strap below the floral smoked row. This will be about 1.5 inch or 3.8 centimeters below the top side strap. Make sure the center notches match. Sew the side straps onto the top. Make sure to also close the straps at the end by folding in the raw edges. Sew at a 1 to 2 millimeter distance from where the strap meets the floral smoked piece. Sew both the top and the bottom of the strap. If you are using a thicker fabric, you might prefer using a walking foot for this step if your machine struggles to feed the fabric through. Once both straps have been secured, the top is finished. Double check for any loose threads to cut off. Remove any visible basting stitches and steam the top to remove the erasable pen marks. Hold the iron above the flowers and steam them, but never put the weight of the iron directly on the flowers, as this will flatten them. We're now done. Congrats on finishing this beautiful floral smock top. I hope you found the tutorial helpful, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.